Hello, my name is Abby McGuire and I'm a student in EDL 677. I also teach English composition classes on CMU's main campus and for Global Campus as well. For my project for EDL 677, I have chosen to discuss with you ideas related to first generation college students. And you can see on this infographic that I've created that I've done kind of a pros and cons type of thing with what's going on with first generation college students. So looking at it today, we're looking at whether the glass is half full or half empty for these students. More than likely, it's not an either or thing. I want to point out that the half empty side, the column on the left, represents things that are represented mainly in the literature that you read about first generation college students. And the acronym that I've come up with to describe these things that students face is DOOFUS. The acronym on the right is more anecdotal. I myself am a first generation college student. My dad is a farmer, my mom is a secretary. So navigating the whole college process is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. The acronym that I've come up with for that one is GRAD, because looking back at my own experiences, I see that there are things that I got out of it that aren't necessarily talked about or aren't as widely discussed. So I kind of wanted to bring those into the discussion today as well. So back to the half empty side, let's be negative Nancy's for a minute. First generation college students face a number of obstacles, and in the DOOFUS acronym, the challenges they face have to do with distractions. Many of them have jobs that they rely on and work 20, 30, 40 hours a week in addition to being full-time students. They face other obstacles as well, such as not knowing how to navigate the campus system. What is the registrar's office? How do I drop classes? How do I apply for financial aid? How do I apply for graduation? All of these things are things that they have to figure out along the way. They also can experience a sense of otherness when they come to campus, which I find kind of interesting, even though I can relate to it personally. But according to the Pell Institute, I'm going to read you some stats. 4.5 million students in the U.S. presently are first-generation college students. This is about 24% of the undergraduate population. The Pell Institute describes their journey to higher ed, or their journey to a degree, as quote-unquote long, indirect, and uncertain. They claim that they're 4 times more likely to leave after their first year than their peers, and after 6 years, only 11% of low-income first-generation college students have earned bachelor's degrees. 11% of first-generation low-income students earn their degrees versus 55% of their more advantaged peers. So there's definitely a disparity in what's going on. A sense of otherness, back to the second O, also is something that can affect the students. They don't always feel like they have the same advantages or like they have the same knowledge base or the same familial support as some of their peers. And that can lead to kind of not feeling like you fit in, which can lead to the S that I have listed for self-doubt. And that lack of support, whether it's financial, emotional, can impact how students kind of relate their college experience and how they approach and how invested that they are in it. So there are a lot of things going on that can make it a difficult road for first generation college students. On the plus side, as an educator working in the college classroom for, this is my 7th year, I have worked with a number of first generation college students, and the things on the right that I mentioned are things that I notice not only with myself but with my students. So I noticed that as a student I was very grateful for my opportunity. It never was far from my mind that this was an opportunity and that I was so glad to be here and so grateful. I remember taking tests in the class testing center here as an undergraduate, sitting there filling in my bubbles, and just about every test I took, I had this sense of accomplishment, this sense of gratitude at this opportunity of being at a university and taking an exam. So that sense of gratitude, I think, really helped me to push through. as a first-generation college student, you also develop a sense of resourcefulness. So not knowing what the registrar's office is, not knowing what graduate school is. I remember not knowing, having class taught by a grad assistant and not really understanding what graduate school was. How long was it? What do you go there for? You figure this stuff out on your own. You have to nose around. You have to piece it out. So that kind of develops a sense of resourcefulness. First-generation college students also seem to me that they have more autonomy than their peers. I know in class we talked a lot about helicopter parents. Holy cow. I never had to deal with any of that. I chose the major I wanted to choose. I took the courses I wanted to take. I took as many classes as I could afford to take. And my parents never really had any say or tried to steer me in any particular direction. I didn't really think of this as a benefit until I remember coming out of one of my journalism classes, maybe my sophomore year of college, and I walked out of the door and there was this student crumbled up on the floor. He had his hands over his head and he looked like, he was having a serious medical problem. So I knelt down and talked to him, and he was having a hard time breathing and he couldn't talk and he was really upset. And he had finally got at him. He had just gotten off the phone with his dad, and he had tried to tell his dad that he was changing his major from journalism to art. And his dad was not happy with him. And then, he had all this chest pain and this head pain, and he was pounding, and he really thought he was in serious trouble. So I took him to the ER, and he was diagnosed as having an anxiety attack. And talking it through with him on the way back, he had discovered that the attack was probably brought on by the stress of trying to please his parents. So he, was supported financially and was supported emotionally in ways that I wasn't, but he lacked the autonomy. So that was something that now I can look back on and be very grateful for. A lot of first-generation college students have, and other students do too, but from my own experiences and from the students I worked with, many of them are very driven. Overcoming obstacles is just something that they do and they're good at and they go for. So that is kind of an overview of that. There are some strategies on the bottom of this for how educators and institutions can help. And basically, by offering support to guide students through the process, connecting them with other first-generation college students, connecting them with campus resources, and helping financially any way that they can really improve the process of feeling like you're part of campus and feeling like you understand how to navigate the process and feeling like you have the resources to do that. So I have a short video for you, and this is not what I want, I'm sorry, on Vimeo, and it's not created by me. It was done by a BCA or a journalism student, I'm not sure which, but it's a spotlight on a Central Michigan University first-generation college student. So I'll let you watch this, and we'll wrap up.
To be a first-generation college student, I see it as a privilege. I also see myself as being very blessed. I take advantage of the opportunity just to be able to go to college, just because a lot of my family members at home may have also had the same opportunity, but they didn't take advantage of it as I did. So that kind of gives me motivation to move forward with my college career and accomplish my college career, because it'll be something that I could say that I did that no one else in my family was able to do. I do definitely feel as though people take it for granted. Specifically speaking, I come across a lot of students who, just for instance, they don't show up to class, they have to do their work, they just don't take advantage of the opportunity that they're here and they're able to get an education from someone who was previously in the field that they're looking forward to go into. And it kind of offends me in a way, because I feel as though that you should take that and gain from that as much as you can.
Destiny is the type of student who, she always attends class. I've had her in 2 courses now, HDF 211 and 213. She's very attentive in class, so not only is she there, but she's present in the class too. I would say the one-word description for her character would probably be best described as motivated. I believe she is a self-motivated individual. She gets a lot of that drive internally, and I think that will carry her a long way in her academic career, and more importantly, beyond that.
I was raised by a single mother. My mom got pregnant at 19. She had me when she was 20. My father was incarcerated, so I did not meet my father until I was 6 months. From the time that he was released from prison, I was also involved with my mother and my father throughout my childhood life. So my father was not absent, but my mother and my father were never married and never together. With that being said, I primarily spent a lot of time with my mother. But during that time with my mother, like I said, spent a lot of time with my father as well. But just throughout the years of me being in school, my mom made sure that I did homework every day after school, and my dad made sure that he would, put his 2 cents in as far as my schooling was concerned. And I like to say that it paid off because I was an honor roll student all throughout high school, all throughout my grade years. And now that I'm in college, I pretty much hold myself to those same standards.
I've always taught her to put God first and to love and respect people in spite of themselves, and also to be a leader, not a follower. Always give 100% of whatever she does and did to pay her own way. Also, for everything that someone may give her or she's given, I taught her to be very thankful for things and work hard for what she wants.
Although the classes are a little bit more harder than what you would expect them to be, sometimes I pray for C's, but specifically this semester I made a goal for myself to earn nothing lower than a B, and I've actually accomplished that goal. I look forward to graduating May of 2015.
Did you hear evidence that Destiny was providing that also kind of hit on some of these ideas on the right? So she was grateful for her experience and annoyed at students who didn't take the opportunity and give it their best. She's very driven. Her professor described her as motivated. She seemed very autonomous. She took initiative and did things on her own. So we get a little bit of a sense of that with her as well. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of an idea of some of the things that first-generation college students face, but it also gives you the other side as well. So some of the things that they bring to the table and some of the things that they have to offer themselves and how they can enrich the environment of a class. So thanks for listening. My full set of resources and this infographic are available on Blackboard. Have a great day.